How you doing? I'm Bryan Cartier. This is my wife, Kandy Cartier, and we're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves and why we chose Burn. Both Ken and I have been athletes our whole life, and that team atmosphere and that culture-driven environment is something that we've thrived on. I've coached competitive cheerleading for the last 25 years, and something I talk to my cheerleaders about all the time is like live in this moment, because when you get in the real world, you don't have this. There's nobody that wants the same thing you want, and there's nobody that is really caring how you end up. And one of the big things about Burn is I feel like we found that culture again. We found that accountability. When you walk in, it's like, hey, they're happy to see you, and when you're not, like, hey, where are they at today? Have you heard from them? And just that team environment when you get paired up with somebody and they're pushing you to be your best, just because they want you to be your best. And I think that that team atmosphere that we came from, whether it's our coach pushing us and it's the trainer at Burn, or it's our teammates and it's the person you got paired up with that day, I think it just all really lives together. And the athletes that we've coached along the years, over 25 years, I feel like are fitting into that Sally profile now. They're all married, and they've completed college, and they all have kids, and we've been to a lot of their weddings and housewarming parties, and now it's like they're looking for that next team culture. And I feel like we're now selling it to the older version of our cheer clientele, and I think it just really fits hand in hand with our morals and our people first, and making sure that the product matters, how you feel matters. When you walk in the door, you feel loved immediately, and they feel like you care for them as a person, not just for what you're providing for them, which I try to instill in my athletes all the time, and I really feel that at Burn as well. So I think that's kind of why we chose Burn, and getting to see Kandy go through that, because she's been at Burn far longer than I have, and I'll kind of let her go into her story.
Well, yeah, I started as an athlete. I played softball and did gymnastics when I was young, and then went into volleyball. Went to college. I actually met Bryan at UCF. That's our thing. We always say one of us was a volleyball player in college, and one of us was a cheerleader, and they never guessed who was who. So we started in the gym business very early on. We opened our first cheer gym when we were 23 years old, and literally knew nothing about business. I have a degree in micromolecular biology. Like, I'm science background, and here we are running a business, but we have really loved that. Bryan has been cheerleading, or has been coaching at UCF now. He won't tell you, but he's actually won 2 national championships. So that's been a pretty cool thing for us, for our whole family. And then just growing through that atmosphere, and like he said, that team atmosphere. I had a friend that actually started at Burn in Hickory, North Carolina. Shout out to Christy. She's the one that got me hooked up, and she was telling me how much she loved it. I was like, man, I really wish we had something like that. And then one day on social media, I saw we're getting a Burn in Clermont, and I was like, so I'm an OG from the parking lot. I did those pop-up camps in the parking lot and absolutely loved it. Penny was my first partner, and Penny now is in Child Watch and works with us, which is really cool. So we've been together for 3 years, and Bryan and I just every day I would come home from Burn and I would say, look at what Burn is doing. Look at their social media. We need to do this. We need to do more of this. We need to bring more of this into our other business. And Burn really walked with us through the pandemic. I actually have had 5 heart surgeries, and Burn has walked with me through those heart surgeries. And, I went 6 weeks where I couldn't lift my left arm, and people were checking on me, and I felt it was crazy. I actually would go to the gym and just to visit with everybody, because I missed that community. Those were my people. And like he said, now it's been so great. We have so many of our young athletes that they're adults, they're getting married, they're having kids, and now they're in the Burn community with us. And so that's a really fun aspect of it. So you want to tell them a little bit more about the gym and about cheerleading? And
so we have another company called Unite Training Center, and it's a full sports complex, 58,000 square feet. One side's devoted for basketball and volleyball. The other is devoted for competitive cheerleading and rec cheerleading and tumbling. We have a restaurant that splits the middle. And it's just been a passion of ours for us being in athletics our whole life, and just being able to pass that love for that on. And really our mission statement there was using athletics to build great people. you know, because of one day your athletic abilities are going to go away and you're not going to be an athlete anymore. But are you a good husband? Are you a good wife? Are you a good employee? Are you a great boss? You know, who are you? Did you use the things that you learned through your skills to better your life? And you know, the only thing I have hanging in our gym is, you know, not that we don't win trophies or banners, but I have all of the kids that we taught are now in college, and they use their skills to go to college, and they cheered in college, or they did something professional, whether it's circ or, you know, end up being an acrobat at Disney, and how have they bettered their life through what we taught them. And then the first day I walked into Burn, the first thing that hit me is their transformation wall, and it's literally the same thing. You know, this is where I started, and this is the vehicle that I use to get to where I am now. And, you know, I think that's really what sold me on it. And, you know, very similarly, you know, cheerleading started primarily women, and there's, you know, some men here and there, but I feel like Burn was the same way. As, you know, they started and really focused on women and building women up in their most time of need, you know, after having kids and postpartum, and really having a place to go and talk to other women in their same place. And now, having built that brand, opening it up to the entire family and bringing their husbands and boyfriends and partners, and really their kids at kids camp, and making this a family environment, and a lifestyle for your family. And I think that, you know, we've taught that so much through our young athletes and to their parents, and being, you know, that collaborative effort to make sure that they get on that path, and just really continuing that into the family, starting with the parents first and down to the kids now. So it's very similar. So I think, again, that's part of the reason why we fell in love with Burn.
And I'll say for me, one of the things that people have asked me about Burn, and I love, like, challenging workouts, that's the foundation of Burn, having that intensity. But also being a mom, and a lot of times when I'm talking to new members coming in, and honestly, sometimes members that have been there for a long time, one of the ways that I stay motivated is really, sometimes I have to tell myself, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, gosh, maybe I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling 100%. And I have decided for myself that it's more important to be there. And so sometimes in my own head, I'm like, you know what, Candy, you're gonna go, and if you only got 25% today, you're gonna go to Burn and you're gonna give 25% today. And I know when I get there, I'm always gonna give more than that 25%. My trainers, the people that I'm working out with, they're gonna encourage me. I'm gonna do more than that. But sometimes I know for a lot of us, you're sore, you're fatigued, life is happening. And so I think that's just one thing that I would really say to you, is that it's okay if you're not 100% every day. You're not gonna be 100% every day in your family life, with your spouse, in your mom life, in your work life. It's okay to go in there. And then I love that that's something that Burn gives us, is that they really, when we are there, they help encourage us to do more than what we can. But I have a question for you that I think is gonna be fun.
Okay.
So what is an insult that you've received that you're proud of? Because I know some, but what's something you can think of?
You know, I don't know. In sports, I feel like that's hard because of, you know, what some people might tell you. Again, is good. So I feel like you're too tough on our kids, or why do you care so much?
When we were young, you don't understand because you don't have kids.
Yeah, well, that's always been one of them. And, you know, it's just, you know, when you care for someone and you care about the results, is you're gonna care about how they do things. You're gonna care about the effort level that they put into those things. And for me as a coach, I feel like, you know, I can teach everything in my field, but I can't make you be on time, and I can't provide the effort for you. You know, and I feel like those are the two things that, you know, you can't get your time back. So by giving somebody your time, that shows ultimate respect, right? And then by showing up and giving full effort, that's full respect, you know. So I feel like that's why I'm tough, and that's why I hold you accountable, is because of life is going to hold you accountable. Like, you only get so much time to put into it, and I feel like those are some of the things that matter the most, and to some might be perceived as an insult for being tough or being hard, but I feel like those matter.
And so for me, kind of on the business side, it's honestly something that he's taught me. I tend to be an emotional person, and so maybe when someone has left our business and it's time for them to move on to another cheerleading gym or to another location, to work out, or they need something that's different, One thing that I've really learned, especially our core values at Burn are people first. And so sometimes that means that this is not the right place for you right now. And that's okay. And that's something that he's really taught me. Like, we want to hug our members on the way out. If this isn't what's right for you, right? Like, I have a member in mind right now that she's hurt her shoulder. She's having to do some physical therapy. And she was like, gosh, she's like, it's just killing me to cancel my membership right now. And I'm like, it's okay. Your support system, we're still here for you. We're not going anywhere. And so I think that's something that a lot of people can take as an insult. This is not the right place for me. And we're okay with that. And we're going to love all of our members, all of our athletes right out the door. And because a lot of times they do figure out, like, hey, sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side, or sometimes what I thought I could do on my own, I was really being empowered by my community. So I think that's something that just kind of sticks out to me.
And then something else, as an entrepreneur, I feel like taking some self-assessment and looking at yourself and like, okay, what am I doing good is always a great thing to say. However, it's like, okay, what do I need to work on? And some of those self-reflecting things. And I have a lot of time in the car and I'm driving back and forth, and I love a good podcast, a good leadership podcast, or I love Jim Rohn. I listen to him all the time, and it's just some of those things where you're like, yep, I definitely need to hear that today. And you might not even know you need to hear it until you hear it, and you're like, he's speaking directly to me. But taking the time, whether it's just in the car to the grocery store and back, putting on that podcast that you might need to listen to, and what you put in is what you're going to get out. So I think taking those time to learn, and I am a very much visual and auditory learner. I could read it 1,000 times and I'm not getting it, but I listen to it one time and it's there for me. So I think just going back to what I talked about is that time and effort is spending your time wisely on the things that you need to once you've self-reflected.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be? What kind of legacy do you want to leave?
That you mattered, that I cared for you. I cared more about you than what you could do for me. And I think I try to push that to our coaches all the time. I know it's cliche, but no one knows how much, or no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And I say that to my young coaches all the time. But I mean, if you push somebody just to show them how good you are, what does that mean? You want to push them out of their comfort zone so they can be the best that they can be for them. For when they look in the mirror and they see themselves like, I can't believe I'm here. And I was part of that, and I helped them get there. So I think them knowing how much I care about how good they can be, I think is probably the most. And again, it just fits right into Burn as well, because of that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to sell this fitness product, but it's really the confidence
that's
you
my favorite
get
part.
from that fitness product, right? Like, I just did that. I did a 90-pound dumbbell, and this is a small woman that just did this, and I just did a 90-pound row. I never thought I could lift that much weight, but it's just because they never believed in themselves that they could do that. But they had a trainer right there like, no, you can do this. Put that down, grab that weight, pick it up. You got this, and without that community, but also that personal attention within that community, you don't get that. So that's really what I love about Burn.
Me too. Well, guys, we're so excited that you are here with us. We're going to wrap things up. We would love for you to like and subscribe, and then see us every week. This is really fun thing, so we appreciate it.
And we're going to end the way we end everything. 2 claps on 2. Ready? 1, 2.